Okay, today I'm going to show you how to reconcile credit card statements inside of QuickBooks. I'll post a couple of screenshots of what the credit card statement looks like at the beginning of the video so you can rewind back to that if you need to see the transaction that I'm talking about or follow along with what I'm saying as we're going through the video. I can't record both sides of my screen at the same time. I can't record QuickBooks and the statement, so I'll just post a couple of screenshots like I said. The first thing you're going to want to do is either print a copy of the statement that you're working on, or like I do, I open my bank statement on the left side of the screen and I use QuickBooks on the right side of the screen. And I'll just kind of mark with my hand as I'm going down the statement. I'll mark each transaction. As I'm looking for that transaction in QuickBooks, I'll kind of hold my place with my finger on the left side of the screen on the bank statement. The first thing you want to check is up at the top of the statement. You're going to want to look for the credit card number that you're going to be reconciling. In this case, it's 4016. Those are the last four digits. You'll also want to look for the statement closing date. Our statement that we're going to work on is August 10th. And then you'll also want to look for the new balance, which is the final balance of the credit card at the end of the month. In this case, it's going to be $7,248. We're going to be working on a Capital One credit card statement. Most companies have all the same information. The layout just might be a little bit different, but you'll just look for those same items that I just pointed out. The last four digits of the credit card, the ending statement balance, and the ending statement date. Those are the three key pieces of information that you need, and then you'll scroll down and you'll be able to see each transaction listed individually. A lot of times they're divided by which credit card user was making the transaction. So in QuickBooks, the first thing you're going to want to do, you'll want to save yourself a little bit of time, go to Lists, open your chart of accounts, search for the credit card that you're going to be reconciling, double click. It's going to open this journal entry, and we can just keep that tucked down at the bottom. As long as this is opened, you won't have to manually select that each time you go to reconcile. We're going to take this chart of accounts and we're just going to move it to the bottom as well so it's out of the way. Next, we're going to go to banking. We're going to reconcile credit card charges. We're going to select the account that we wanted, and because we have this window open at the bottom here, it's going to automatically select this same credit card that we're trying to reconcile. If you don't do this little first step, it's fine. It's just going to select whatever's first on your list. For me, I just like to do that just so I don't have to do the extra clicking around to select the credit card every time. You can see that this was last reconciled on July 9th. Our statement closing date for this statement is going to be 8/10. Sometimes QuickBooks will just randomly assign a date. You just want to make sure that this date matches the date on your statement. The beginning balance right here is going to be our ending balance from the previous month when we closed that statement on 7/9. Our new ending balance is going to be our new balance as it says on the credit card. So in this case, like I mentioned, it's already in here. I already entered this, but it's $7,248. I'm going to hit continue. If for any reason I notice that I made a mistake, I can always hit modify and I can go back to this reconciliation screen and I can change whatever information I need to change, and then hit continue. It'll refresh my page and I can keep going. On this screen, the first thing that I'm going to do is hide transactions after the statement's end date. It's going to get rid of all these extra things that we don't need to look at here. Then I always try to hit mark all. If QuickBooks imported all the data that we needed, if there are no duplicates, if everything is just here and easy, we can hit mark all. It should make the difference between our ending balance and our cleared balance show up as 0. If this shows up as 0, we know we're done. We just hit reconcile now and that's it. So I'm going to try and mark all. And right here there's a difference of negative $67.11. Because it's negative, I'm going to assume that it's probably a credit card charge. I can also look down here and see what charges and cash advances say. there's going to be a total on the bank statement or the credit card statement for charges and cash advances. If this number matches exactly as it does on the statement, then we know we have all of our charges. In this case, it doesn't match, so we know that we're missing a charge. Payments and credits match what should be, according to the bank statement, what should be in QuickBooks. The charges and cash advances don't match, so for that reason, I'm assuming that there's a charge missing. So we need to unmark these, and then we need to go through one by one. Because we only have about 20 transactions on here, I'm just going to go ahead and sort by the amount, and then I'll be able to, it's easier for me to find it that way. So on the bank statement, I'm going to move to the first set of transactions. And the first set of transactions on the statement are the payments that were made to the account. So we have 4537, 4537, and then I'm going to skip down a little bit further, and I see 3806 and 4232. These are returns, it looks like. So we have those covered. This side matches the bank statement, so we know we're good here. And then we're going to move to the other side. First transaction for credit card charges is $171.19, and then $159.88, and $375. So I'm just going one at a time. I'm marking on the left side to kind of keep my place while I'm searching for the number on the right. And right here, I just found out we're missing, on the bank statement it says on July 13th, there should be a transaction at Lowe's for $67.11, and I can see there's no transaction here. I'm just going to open up a similar transaction, and I'm going to hit New, and I'm going to manually enter this. This is probably just not imported, or maybe it got deleted as we were downloading transactions or whatever it might have been. But I can see that it's one transaction because it's on the statement and it's the exact amount we're missing. So it's $67.11. And I'm just going to assign this to general repairs for now, or general materials, because I don't know exactly what account that came from. So this is going to be our discrepancy account. I can probably make an account later that just says, you know, to be reconciled or to be assigned later, and then I can go through the profit and loss statement and I can assign it to a specific account. But I know it came from Lowe's. I know it's going to be materials for repairs, so I'm just going to assign it to that account for now, and if I want to give it more detail later, then I can, or when I find the receipt, and I'll know exactly where it came from. At this time, we were just finishing up Home Street, so I'm going to assume that this one was for Home Street because that's what most of the transactions were at that time. I'm going to save it. Transactions more than 90 days in the past. Are you sure you want to make this change? Yes. And you can see right here it just produced this transaction. So 6711. And now I could hit mark all, and I know because we were short 6711 before, I know that that would clear out that total. This difference would go to 0 and we would be done. But just for the sake of the video, I'm going to continue going one by one and marking off these transactions, and we'll see where we end up. Again, I'm just marking on the statement. I could be crossing these off as I'm searching for them or as I find them, but I'm just marking with my hand on the left side of my screen to keep my place and going down the list. And right here we have two transactions for the same amount. Both of these transactions are on the credit card statement, but it's kind of unusual to have exactly the same amount, so I would just verify that we were supposed to have two transactions. In this case, I know that this is correct. We had the same thing shipped out twice because it came from two different stores, and each store only had one quantity of each, so we had to purchase it separately. So I know this is correct, but in another situation, I might double check this just to make sure we weren't accidentally charged twice. Okay, so that's all the transactions, and at the very bottom of the statement, under fees, we have a $39 fee, and then we have $113.33 in interest charged. The banks will actually refund these, so I usually wait until there are a couple of things that I need to call them about, so I don't waste the extra time, but I'll call them and ask them to refund them, and 90% of the time they'll just take them off, especially because the volume is so high. Normally there won't be any fees on here. This one, it looks like there are two payments for the same amount, so probably what happened is this was on auto pay, and I hadn't transferred enough to pay this credit card into this account, and it auto paid and it overdrew the account. So you can see there are two transactions. There's a payment and then there's a return right here, and then there's another payment. So that's probably what that is, and that explains the fee. That's pretty unusual though, but there it is. Okay, and then you can see after we got everything check marked off, we're down to a difference of $0. We hit reconcile now. The warning that pops up is make a payment. The outstanding balance in this account is $7,248. Do you want to write a check for this payment now or enter a bill for payment later? We're not going to do either of these things. We're just going to cancel this out, and this is going to allow us to not do either of these things. And then when we get to next month, it'll show the payments that were just made, and we don't have to tell QuickBooks to do anything right now. So we're going to hit cancel. Do we want to print a reconciliation report? We don't need any of this stuff. So we're going to close it. We can always access this later if we need to. Some people like to print a report or just show the display of that saying that this account was reconciled. We don't need that right now. So we're going to close it. And then we're going to go up to the same thing again for the next month, and we're going to reconcile credit card. And because we already have this little window down at the bottom, it's going to select our account that we automatically wanted again. And we would just enter whatever the total is for the next month, and we would go through just like that. This is a summary of how you reconcile a credit card, and it's pretty much the same as a bank statement, a couple of small differences, but this is how I do it.